Hey, third graders, Mrs. Linderman. We are going to continue with our raft chart for opinion writing today. So make sure you've got your writer's notebook and a pencil, and you can open up to this page. Remember to pause the video if you're not prepared. We did this the last time. We talked about what each of these letters stand for and then what it exactly means, right? So the role of the writer. Who are you? Who's the person that's writing it? And if you notice, I drew a second line underneath that to kind of separate these things from the last time we worked on it. So you can do that too. Remember, the audience is who you're writing to, right? Who's going to be reading this information that you're trying to persuade and share your opinion about things. We've discussed that the only format we're going to work on right now are opinion letters. Other ways, right, to share your opinion might be writing an article in a newspaper or writing a poem. Okay, there's lots of other ways to do writing, but this time we're working on just writing an opinion letter. And then we talked about the topic, which is what are you writing about? So I gave a couple examples, right? If I'm a student, I would be writing to my teacher, maybe even my principal. I might be trying to convince them that I don't want to have homework on the weekends. Okay, I got to come up with 3 really good reasons and some examples, and we'll talk about reasons and examples the next time. Maybe I'm a daughter and I'm writing to my parents, right, about having a later bedtime. So you need to start thinking, and hopefully you already have, about some things that you can persuade somebody about. And underneath my finger here, I've got a few more ideas, and I want you to come up with some ideas of your own today as well. You're going to be taking screenshots of these pages in your notebook and sending them to your teacher so that we can see the thinking that you're doing. So here's some ideas. And if you have a great idea, write it down. Okay, I want you to try to come up with 3 of your own ideas. These are a couple, or more than a couple, these are some examples of things kids have written in the past. Okay, I didn't fill in the role, the audience. We know it's going to be an opinion letter. So I left these blank because it depends on you. Okay, but I wrote down some topics. So here's one. Maybe you're wanting a pet, like one of the example letters that we read. Remember that one student wanted to have a pet. So maybe you have really been wanting a gerbil or a cat or a dog or a fish even, right? How can you write a letter to persuade your parents to get you a pet? Maybe you want something like a trip or to go someplace special, or maybe even like a trip to Cedar Point, or you want to go to the zoo, or you just want to go to a friend's house, right? Maybe you want something special like that. Maybe you want to start getting an allowance, or maybe you want the amount of allowance you get to go up. So maybe you're going to write an opinion letter to whoever gives you your allowance and come up with 3 good reasons why they should either give you an allowance or increase the amount that you get. Maybe you want something. So something tangible like a trampoline, or maybe even a new bike or a scooter, or that favorite video gaming system, right? Maybe you want something new like that. But remember, you've got to be able to come up with 3 really good reasons why you should have these things. Okay, so if one of these or 2 of these speak to you, write them down. But your job today is to come up with 3 ideas of your own. What are some things, topics that you could write about to persuade or talk somebody into by using a letter? Okay, now it's going to be up to you who you're going to write to and who you are going to be. What's your role, right? So maybe it's as simple as you're going to write to your parents. Maybe you want to write to a friend. Okay, you're going to have to do some thinking on that. But today your job is to come up with 3 topics that you could write about. Okay, you may copy down some of these. These are great ideas, but you need to come up with 3 additional ones on your own. All right, so that's one of the things that you have to do today, right? You're copying all this down. You're also copying down this next page because we're writing a letter. So we're going to talk about the parts of a letter. And you'll notice I traced my hand, okay? I traced my left or my right hand. Even though I write with my right hand, it was really easy. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So trace your right hand, and then we're going to write these parts of a friendly letter inside each finger. Okay, so one part is the date. Another part is the greeting. Third part is the body or the message of your letter. That's where you're going to have your reasons and your examples. The closing and your signature. So your job right now is to freeze the video, copy this down. You're going to trace your own hand so that you know the 5 parts of a friendly letter. And then on the next page, I'm going to show you an example of what a letter looks like. And we're going to have a little key that goes along with it. You know what a key is, right? Going with a map. We're going to do the same thing on the next page. So freeze the video, copy this down. Okay, now here is an example of what a friendly letter looks like. So let me read it to you. You'll notice, right, there's the date, January 1st, 2021. Dear students, this is an example of a friendly letter. Notice that the date is written out and over to the right. The greeting is capitalized and is over to the left. There's also a comma after the greeting. The first line of the body is indented. If you change topics, start a new paragraph. Each new paragraph should be indented. End your letter with a closing and a signature. Okay, so you see my friendly letter to you, okay? And you're going to now label the parts of this letter, and we're going to write that at the very bottom of our page. Okay, so when we're all done here, you're going to be copying this page down as well, because this is an example of a friendly letter. Now, we're writing, right? And during writing time in school, we have to write. So you need to be prepared with your paper and your pencil, and you're going to be copying this down in just a minute. Okay, you'll notice here's the date, and I'm going to label the date with a number 1. Okay, my greeting and my comma, I'm going to label with a number 2. Okay, the body or the message of my letter is down here. And remember, this is just one paragraph because I've only indented my first line. You're going to be indenting 3 paragraphs because you're going to have 3 reasons with examples. So you're going to have a lot more to write than I did. Okay, for number 4, our closing. There's lots of different closings. Maybe you write a letter and you sign it love, or you sign it best regards. There's lots of different ways to sign a letter. And then finally, you'll notice the signature. That's where you sign your name, right? You want to put your name on the letter so that they know who it's from. Okay, so at the very bottom, and I did this in pencil, so I'll copy over in marker so that you can see it when you're ready to copy it down. I wrote a key, okay, and a key, just like in math or on a map, tells me what something means. So that number 1 is the date. So if I look for number 1 at the top, that's where the date is, okay, and you'll notice it's to the right side of my paper. Okay, number 2 is the greeting. That's where you usually start with dear mom or dear grandma. I wrote dear students. So number 2 is the greeting. It's like saying hello. Number 3 is the body of your letter, the message. What is it that you want to say to whoever is reading it? And number 4 is the closing. We just talked about that. And number 5 is the signature. If you don't sign it, they're not going to know who it's from, right? That's an important part of writing a friendly letter. And I use that keyword friendly because you're being very kind. So here is an example of the 5 parts of a friendly letter. So your job is to pause this video and copy down this friendly letter so you have a great example in your writer's notebook. Remember, every day when you're asked to do something in your notebook, you need to follow those instructions and do that so that you don't fall behind. And when we're ready to start planning, which will be next week, you'll be ready to write your letter because you know all the parts and pieces of what we're doing.